But one of the big topics off of last weekend is the man, the myth, the legend, Carson Hocevar. He, was leading on the final lap of the Daytona 500, ends up spinning out, getting spun out, doesn't get quite the finish. Then at this race, I had picked him to win. Felt like he would win in the first 2 races. We made that prediction here. I thought I was looking smart because he could rip through the field, but got in some altercations, one with Joe Logano. And then, of course, at the end of the race, on the second to final restart, he's on the second row, tries to make it 3 wide on the inside of Christopher Bell and the outside of Bubba Wallace into a hole that closed immediately. Looked so close to Brad Keselowski, Michigan or Texas 2014, and ends up wrecking Christopher Bell. And then there's another restart and doesn't quite get it done. Obviously, ruffled a lot of feathers. He's not very apologetic about it, which is awesome. And I think it reminded me. I think other people have come to this conclusion. It reminds me so much of Ross Chastain just a couple years ago, right? When he was in a similar vein, spinning Denny Hamlin out all the time and just constantly in the headlines for being aggressive. And so we looked back, Josh, we had you look back at what we said back then.
Yeah.
What was our summary?
Essentially, you guys viewed him as a disruptor that was necessary for the sport's growth. You highlighted his ability to adapt to the new next-gen car quicker than other people, and he was able to find more where people weren't yet comfortable with. And you guys essentially talked about him forcing the field to recalibrate and reprogram themselves on how they race him. So if you didn't clear him quickly, you're gonna be in for a long day.
So we were pretty supportive, and
yes,
I will say,
yes,
my initial reaction to this is like, hell yeah, Hocevar, keep it up, do what you got to do. Like, as a person watching, I'm like, it's awesome, and there's a reason his social media growth has been insane. If you pay attention to that, he's gaining followers like crazy. He, is in every headline. Media loves talking about him. And I think it's awesome. I think it's so cool. And, for a guy who obviously is not afraid of the consequences or the, potential drawbacks of being this aggressive, it's like, hell yeah, dude, go after it. It's entertaining as hell.
Yep. 100%. And you know what? It's in this, where we're at right now with the sport, we cannot afford to have lukewarm drivers anymore.
Nope.
So Carson just needs to keep doing whatever it is that he wants to do, can do. If that makes people hate him, then great. If that makes people love him, then great. If he's fighting on the track with people because of his driving style, then that's for him and his fellow drivers to deal with. As long as we get a good show out of it. As long as we get interesting things to talk about, interesting things to pay attention to. This is in this world of attention that NASCAR is trying to capture. This topic right here is a hell of a lot more interesting than the boring stuff that we
the NASCAR.
Well, not even that. Like that NASCAR is actually, I think NASCAR is in line with that. That was Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan, making a stand, right? And it created content. Gosh, that's a dangerous thing to say.
Whoa.
But I'm just saying that, it's like it's a hell of a lot better than the 15 years of just corporate boringness that we got, right?
The era we were,
and the drivers' personalities just kind of got neutered, and the most interesting thing that the broadcast could talk about on a Sunday is doing some 5-minute hit on their new dog at their house or something. It's just like, we need more personalities. We need authentic people behind the wheel, and people like drivers like Carson are in that line. Drivers like Ross Chastain are in that line. Drivers like Austin Hill. I know we're gonna get talking to him. It's just like you're talking about him. We need more of that.
So I wholeheartedly agree. And this leads to my next topic on Carson Hocevar. And you led to it perfectly. Because what you just mentioned was the culture of NASCAR when you and I got into it. You know, those mid 2000s, it was the post explosion era of the early 2000s. It was very corporate, very sterile in a lot of respects. And that was the culture that ran through and through the whole thing. And to give you before I go down that path, one of the things that I'm most encouraged about with Carson Hocevar has nothing to do with his on-track stuff. It is entirely, if you are a follower of his on social media, he is posting videos of him using the F word constantly. He's on Twitch constantly. He breaks every rule that 10 years ago we would have been yelled at or told you can't do that. And he has memes on there that are awesome. He's got Leonardo DiCaprio, the cigarette, basically on one of his posts. Like, it's absolutely awesome because he's showing his true personality and he doesn't hold back. And it's amazing. And I'm in so many respects jealous because I can remember being his age and how many times I got yelled at or threatened for what I put on social media that would look like nothing compared to what he's doing now. I'm going to tell you a story. So I had a time where it must have been 2012. I believe we were at Charlotte somewhere in the truck series. And I think we had like one of those back then with practice, there was a long change and I was like, I have to pee. So I run to the bathroom. I keep my helmet and my suit on. I'm in the bathroom going on on a urinal peeing, and someone took a photo of me, but you can't even tell I'm peeing. And I look like the Stig is like in the bathroom or something. I posted this. I swear to God, this caused more problems for time periods after that than you could possibly imagine, having posted that. And it was the most, like, nowadays people just laugh, whatever, move on. Yeah. I can remember even when I went to the TV side, I had made a tweet of this time when Shannon and I went to a vacation where I'd gotten through points to this very fancy hotel. And I made this tweet that was basically similar to what Jeremy Clarkson does, where he basically says, like, hey, I failed my high school and failed in college, but I'm sitting on a yacht in the south of France. Keep going, kids. And the thing was, there was this hotel that would deliver champagne and chocolate-covered strawberries to your room every night. Mind you, we got this on points. We were there like 2 nights. And so I tweeted, I was like, I barely made it out of high school, didn't go to college, and someone just delivered me champagne and chocolate-covered strawberries. Keep after it, kids, or something like that. If I could tell you the amount of problems that caused for me for the next week with executives and people, you would be mind blown. My point being, we were basically told during that time period, like, you weren't allowed to be yourself. You weren't allowed to have personality. We weren't allowed to be funny on the internet and be out there in any respect. And what I love about what Carson's doing is he doesn't give a shit on the racetrack and he doesn't care on the internet and social media. And I think that is a combo that could go so far for him, be so big for the sport. And it's awesome to see the culture changing where he's not getting that same retribution of being himself, which is awesome.
I think that it's I think that is driven by the broader culture. I mean, there's still going to be corporate controls. These cars still have corporate partners on them, but I do think that these next generations to come, and one of the things that the internet has done for these next generations to come, now it's created polarity because there's a lot of baloney on the internet, right? There's a lot of fake content. There's a lot of made up content. But the thing is, I feel like the internet created this platform where everybody in the world has the ability to check something, right? To check your bullshit. And so authenticity is like the most high value currency that we have now. Because you just can't get away with being fake. There's too much out there about everybody everywhere. You can't fake it.
Yep.
Like you used to. And so, that's why athletes like Carson and athletes out there that are just wear their heart on their sleeve have the popularity they have, right? And then look at athletes that are kind of going the other direction, not to just call, I might be opening a can of worms, but like, look at LeBron James, right? The king, right? Beloved for so long, but he's kind of lately a little cringy because he just seems a little full of shit. Right?
I don't know. I don't pay attention.
I don't.
I'm
Maybe
gonna take your word for it.
I feel like I don't know if Josh pays attention to that stuff or if he would agree. I'd probably just.
Is this basketball?
Yeah. Oh God.
I'm from Sacramento. We have a team that essentially hasn't done anything
I don't know.
for
You know what?
2.5 decades.
Chat, leave in the comments. Let me know if you agree. I don't. You might be a LeBron James fan and defend him, and and that's fine. But like, I feel like that's a guy that lived through, has kind of like transcended through these different generations, and I don't know if the younger generations are buying his what he has to offer right now.
That's interesting.
And I think that's and so I think you could just kind of blanket that across a lot. You could just pick a lot of different athletes, a lot of different celebrities, a lot of different personalities, and be like, okay, who's doing really well right now in the world in terms of on social media and fame and all this stuff. And chances are it's the people that are more authentic. Right?
Yep. Well, I think authenticity is the buzzword of the internet in the last couple of years, and it's to that point because in an era of AI and fake everything,
it's just people they're putting themselves out there. How do you argue with that? How do you criticize that?
No, you can't. If it's them and it's truly them, then it's 100%. And I think to my own social media, it was an adjustment over the last couple of years to just be way more open, because I would always think in the back of my brain to like being in my younger 20s and how often I got yelled at and was reprimanded in some respects for just being myself on social media, that to this, and I just laugh at some of the things I got yelled at for that nowadays wouldn't even do well on the internet. It wouldn't even register. It's like that was the era we were living in that is so different than now, but this is so refreshing, and I think it is such a great lesson for up and coming drivers, for all sports, and especially for NASCAR, to let people be themselves. And if you do that, it can have an incredible power, an incredible weight, and it can cause ripple effects that can truly grow the sport and grow the amount of people that want to pay attention. So moral of the story, Carson, keep doing you. It's awesome. So
and shout out to him, who is also running in the eNASCAR series and is 8th in points. Just on the side, he's just going and racing against the top sim racers in the world and is just competing.
That is hilarious.
That's just
absolutely awesome.
Wild.
That's absolutely awesome. That's why he's got all the Twitch streams, I guess, that he's doing. Where whoever does them, whoever clips those together, I don't know who his video team is or whatever, but they do an excellent job. They're some of the most entertaining things to watch. He obviously does great, but whoever clips them together does an awesome job. So very cool. Very, very cool.